And then he referred me to a dermatologist who, oh, I love my dermatologist. She's amazing. Um, but my dermatologist, she suggested that I start Humira. Now she actually ran tests and stuff. I told my doctor I have and I didn't even say like, hey, I think I have such and such. No, when I went to the doctor, because I was getting like an annual exam or whatever, and he had to look under my armpits and my breasts and stuff, and so he asked me, "What's this?" And I told him, "Oh yeah, I have hidradenitis suppurativa," and he was like, "Oh okay, well I don't know too much about that." But then, of course, he was like, "All I know is that it's not curable, and so I'm so sorry that you have to deal with that, because I know it's painful and blah blah blah." And the whole time I'm like, "Yeah, I know. Thanks. I 20. I think at the time I was like 22. 22 years of knowing. Yeah, I know. But thank you. I appreciate your condolences for my lifelong incurable misery." But anyway, he referred me to the dermatologist, and she um, suggested that I start taking Humira. Now, at the time, she explained to me that Humira was an immune suppressant. If you haven't already watched the part of this where I explained that my immune system is compromised, you should. But I was so desperate to just be free of whatever this is that I was like, okay. She was like, it's an immune suppressant, which means that your immune system is going to be even worse off than it already is, which means that, when you get sick, it'll be pretty bad. You have to take much, much better care of yourself and all of this stuff. And I hate needles. I hate needles. And she was like, you have to give yourself a shot every week, basically for the rest of your life, because it's not a cure. She said it. There's no cure. The best that we can do is suppress the symptoms with the immune suppressant. So basically, instead of letting my poor immune system work poorly, you just cut it off. Pull the key out the ignition. So now it's like you don't have an immune system anymore. So yeah, you're a little better off. It didn't completely stop my symptoms, but it did definitely lower the frequency. Now still, when I did have flare-ups, they were bad and they were painful, but it wasn't nearly as frequent as it used to be. um, but that came with the added side effect of having basically turned off my immune system. It's getting dark. I've been sitting out here. That didn't do anything. Anyway, um, basically just cut off my immune system. So what would be a 3 to 4 or 5 day cold for a normal person would be like 3 weeks worth of cold for me. I would get sick and I would stay sick and I would get really, really sick and I would just be miserable. But I was having less flare ups, so I dealt with it. Um, and then I realized that my joints started getting worse. I've always had a problem with my hands where like my knuckles will get stiff. Um, and I have to crack my fingers, and like I do that a lot, right? I have to do that all the time because if I don't, I feel like I can't move my fingers. It got worse. It got a lot worse, and it got worse everywhere. But what used to just be in my fingers, and sometimes I would crack my neck, turned into every single joint in my body hurting constantly. Why you just suck? Like the sun just disappeared on me. Come back, sun. Why are you doing this to me? But I traded the entire functionality of my immune system for kind of being normal sometimes, possibly on occasions if I feel like it. You know what I mean? That's a big risk to take. And I got to the point where I was still having flare-ups and I was more miserable. I was tired all the time. My stomach was hurting all the time. My joints, I couldn't move them. I couldn't move my hands. I couldn't move my neck. I felt like sometimes if I held my neck too still, like just now, I've been looking this direction this whole time. if I had turned my neck that way, I would have felt like it was going to snap. I would have felt like some sort of, special trained freaking assassin like snapped my neck. On top of still having the pain from actually having the flare ups. You see how disappointing this is? Like, I can't win. 24 years, I can't win. So, recently, I finally decided that, you know what? I'm going to revisit that initial introduction to the paleo diet that I had when I first read that book and dismissed it as bull. And I only dismissed it as bull because I wasn't with it. What you mean? I can't eat what I want to eat. Food is the only comfort that I have. Autoimmune paleo. So, which is basically a specific medical protocol that you follow up under the umbrella of the paleo diet, right? So you're still following the paleo diet, but then you're following these certain steps, and you have these certain restrictions that are basically to help you cure, which you can't cure. Note, nothing is curable with autoimmune disease, but to completely undo the symptoms of your autoimmune disorder. And it's autoimmune paleo or autoimmune protocol, whichever one, depends on how you're saying it, in what context you're saying it, and what you're referring. The week of Thanksgiving was when I started it. Thanksgiving was November 23rd, I think, or 22nd, one of the two. So yeah, the week of November 22nd. It is now December 27th. And in this last month of my life, right, from the week of Thanksgiving to now it's the week of Christmas. From the week of Thanksgiving to the week of Christmas, I have felt better than I have ever felt in my life. I am so disappointed that I didn't do this before. In 1 month's time span, I have noticed obvious changes in my body. And in my flare-ups now, it's not just like eat right and you're cured. It's not like that. It's not like that at all. But that doesn't mean that there aren't immediate changes. And like, it's so obvious, and it's so you can't see me. It's so obvious what this has done to me and what these changes have done, and I'm so glad that I've chosen to do this. So we're going to talk about this moving forward, right? But I wanted to come to you just as me. I have nothing else to offer you. Like, I feel like I have been broken down, ripped up, shredded, stomped on, the lowest I can absolutely go. And we'll talk about some more of this, like the emotional battles that come with having HS, and the social battles that come with it, and the different traumatic responses that you develop, growing into adulthood, having this kind of thing. And not just HS, right? There are so many different autoimmune disorders that people have been told their whole lives that they are just incurable, right? Like, you just got the bad straw. You just picked the short straw. I'm sorry. Sucks to be you. You got to deal with it. There are so many different traumatic responses that come with having this. And I'm telling you now, we're going to talk about them all. We're going to talk about everything. Because somebody should talk about it. Thank you guys for listening. And leave a message or something. I want to know, like, I felt so alone my whole life. And then I came across this channel by Autoimmune, and like, I don't feel so alone. I don't. I do still kind of feel alone because there still aren't a whole lot of people out here following AIP for their HS, and we'll talk about that later. But like, I don't feel so alone.